sound like I'm talking out of my ass.
Then please try to enunciate.
No, it's a figure. Never mind.
Oh, see? This time I screwed it up again. Anyway.
I turned it off for you.
Oh, see? That's the problem. I was trying to do it myself. Anyway, no big deal. Anyway, welcome to the Orville Rewatch Show, the podcast where we deep dive into the adventures of the Orville and its crew. In today's episode, we'll be exploring Majority Rule, a thought-provoking installment from Season 1. In Majority Rule, the crew encounters a planet eerily similar to the 21st century Earth, but with a twist. A twist. It's a twist, guys. Wow,
what a twist.
Yeah, what a twist. All right. The society is governed entirely by public opinion through a system of upvotes and downvotes. That sounds familiar. Anyway, when Lieutenant John Lamar finds himself in hot water after the seemingly harmless prank, the crew must navigate this unique justice system to save him from the fate worse than imprisonment. And, of course, we need to have such a large cup of people here. Somebody will get that reference maybe, but anyway. Joining us tonight, we have Mr. Chris Murphy, better known to the world as World Mind.
And thy cup runneth over as we talk about the world of Zuckerberg and Orville. Let's go.
Don't forget Elon.
Yes, well, don't forget Elon. Never forget Elon. And speaking of people who love Elon, the man, the myth, the producer, Dave Mater.
Well, I think that intro deserves a downvote, Jody.
Yeah, it's not very good. I agree. Oh, damn you. All right. Well, let's move on to the people who might not downvote me. The man who is better known as being the narcissist of the group.
Strong start.
And guess what? It's not Adam. It's Kevin Millard.
Wow.
The narcissist.
Wow.
We're gonna call him Lex Luger now.
I think maybe a
Probably
downvote.
me.
Yeah.
Downvote.
Now I'm going for all downvotes.
Your apology tour can start
I
now,
want to
Jody.
see how I can insult Adam now. Adam, you're a good-looking guy. All right. Anyway, that's about it. Yeah, man. I gotta get an upvote somehow.
You got an upvote.
All right.
Upvote.
Excellent. Of course,
But
Adam Woodward.
not only Elon Musk here, but how about Trump?
How about him?
How
How about him?
He took a bullet to the ear. That's all I have to say about that.
We
We
don't
don't
going
have
to be
time
an
for that.
adventurer until he took a bullet to the ear.
Did he though?
No.
Did he?
Depends on who you ask, I guess. Anyway, that's for some other podcast that isn't to do with the Orville.
Yeah.
So let's be honest here. Anyway, everybody, we've all seen this on the panel. What are our thoughts? Let's start with Murphy.
Again, these like first episodes of Orville are trying to do like high concept Star Trek writing on modern sort of takes. And when did this episode come out originally? Like 2000?
2016.
Yeah, 16.
2017.
17.
Yeah.
17.
So it's very much, what was that, like cancel culture-ish area of things.
Starting at that
hard
point,
in the internet, and everyone was like, it's one of these like, really
Product
calling
of
a
the
button.
times.
Yeah, product of the times, and it's just not, I don't know. These early episodes of Orville, I'm not a big fan of in general. I think they're all pretty mid, and it makes me bored. And I didn't like this. I didn't really like this episode, to say the least. It
No.
gets a downvote from me.
A downvote. All right. Mr. Mater, how are you feeling about this?
I completely disagree with Murphy.
Oh.
I think this
upvoting.
episode is amazing. Very well done. I don't think it's a product of its time. I think it's as relevant now as it was
I think it's more
7 years
relevant
ago.
now. Yeah.
And I'm not bored.
All right. And let's go around in rotation here. Kevin.
Yeah, I like it. It's fine.
It's fine. We got to get you
Yeah,
a shirt that says that.
Choose a side, up or
It's
down.
Whoa.
Well, up, but like tentatively, Dave. It's
Tentatively. That just makes his blood boil. Murphy's
yeah,
leaving. He's just like,
Yeah.
forget you all.
It's good. It shows, like, a lot of people think that this is kind of the way to do things, right? Like, you hear majority rule all the time, but it's not all it's cracked up to be, and that's really what this episode is about.
Yeah, that's true.
Pretty good.
All right, Adam, let's finish it off.
I did not like this episode.
All right.
Downvote for me. I first of all, like, okay, let's look at the premise of this. They have a away crew, away team member acting like a complete idiot.
Yep.
To start off, I would have. We'll talk more about it as we go, but they could have done something amazingly better than stupid John Lamar doing his stupid. Like, the guy's an infant; he should never be on a away crew. And
Yeah, they could have had him jump into a bunch of flowers.
Something. I just
Sounds
right
familiar.
off the bat, I didn't like the storyline, and I mean, Kevin, I think you said it was fine. I guess fine, but it did not intrigue
That's
me,
some high
Dave.
praise.
It was, but it's such a like a labored fine. You know,
Yeah.
it's
I honestly
Fine.
I couldn't wait for it to end. I'm going to say that. So it wasn't fine.
So would you upvote it or downvote it?
Downvoted second.
Downvoted. Okay, that's a lot of downvotes.
Sensible.
Jody. We're kind of
Oh.
split here.
Oh, yes, we are. And I'm not going to make it any better, quite honestly. I like the concept. I like showing the absolute absurdity of doing things this way. I like that of the episode. David can smell us all.
He's in the province.
He is in
Oh,
the
is he?
province.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Did we notify anybody? Like, come on. Anyway,
I don't know how he got past security, honestly.
well, he is Canadian. He kind of gets the right.
We already tried a flood.
Yeah, we tried to flood. That didn't
We
work.
tried to flood him out.
Jody, you smell great. Well, thank you, sir. You probably smell okay too. All right. Anyway, as I was saying, I like the concept of it. I think the execution. I'm kind of with Adam on that. The execution is stupid. Like, the premise to get him where he is dumb. There could have been a much more thought out than grinding a statue. You know what I mean? So
But that was like, I'm sure that was Seth MacFarlane being Seth MacFarlane.
being goofy. Yeah. And you know, but on the other hand, I also think there is some really cool things in this episode. I think it shows how mob mentality is a really bad idea. And mob mentality is not something to, you know, this is something that, you know, yes, they joke about it in the show, but in reality, like, we're living this. And there is a lot of people that are like this right now. Well, look at people just voting, you know, let's take the States, for instance. There's people that vote for Trump because they just vote for Trump. They don't know any of his policies. They just want to be Trump, right? Same thing with Biden. There's people that are like, oh, you know, Biden's a loving, caring old man. It's like, okay, well, whatever, you know, but, you know, find out the policies, figure out what makes more sense, right? So, and I think it really shows on this episode how that can go terribly wrong.
Yeah, because I don't know if I don't think that this episode is meant to be a criticism of democracy. It's meant to be a criticism of more justice systems and how the mob mentality is not a good way to apply that to matters of justice or people's standing in society. Now, of course, this episode, I think this particular alien culture, the fact that they lobotomize you, of course, is a bit extreme.
Everything's fine, Dave.
Everything's fine. I'm a good person
Absolutely
now.
Happy times.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily agree with this idea that what happens here with John Lamar is not plausible. For even I could, you know, like, he's dry humping a statue, and I don't know, he's talking to his friend, and it felt very organic to me. It felt like a natural conversation friends might have. He shouldn't be doing it on the mission. I get that, he's a child, but is he any, like, last week we're talking about Gordon and the fact that he's making jokes about Avis and Hertz rental cars, and I'm like, why the hell is he on this undercover, incredibly tense mission?
Well, I think we actually said that is why is he there? Like,
and he apparently because he's the best pilot, you know. And
I think what we're missing is that this is the Orville.
Yeah,
right.
This is the Orville. This is the show we're watching. So it's going to be him dry humping a statue as the problem, not
in the first
something.
season.
else,
There's-
right?
But they also had like with the two researchers who are caught first, right? And one gets shot in the back. That's kind of the opening of the episode, and one gets lobotomized. And you see that their transgression was not giving up a seat on a bus, right, to a pregnant woman.
Yes.
You know,
Which they may not have even saw.
which they may, but even if they did, you know, like it's like, are we got, you know, like this
In
is
their defense, they're old and they got bad knees. She's
Yeah.
what? know,
like that,
Pregnant?
you know,
Come on.
And at the front of the bus, usually it's for seniors as well. So, like, I don't think they're totally in the wrong here.
right. But also this idea that like having an absolute democracy where, you know, oh, that person did something wrong. This is why, you know, we used to burn people at the stake and do these kind of public executions and hangings because that people just love to see other people get it, you know? So it's because it makes them feel better about themselves.
Yeah, my favorite line from this, and it sums up what they're trying to say, I think, perfectly, is when they're flooding the feed at the end with all this misinformation, and they're like, "What if they fact check this?" She goes, "Oh, don't worry about it. They won't."
Yeah.
Which really that's a sign of today's times more than anything, I think.
People would like him more if he was overweight as a child. People would like him more if it was in the military and he came home and was like, I love my dog.
I miss my dog. Happy
Right?
or whatever it was.
And these ridiculous notions that we assign to people on social media that, oh, that person's a good person because I have this contrived version of their life.
Yeah.
You know, but it's but people are, you know, we're all good and bad. And I think, you know, we make mistakes and do good things too, right? And I think that it's in everybody's case it's more complex, and that's why we developed, you know, trials, juries, you know, this whole burden of proof, you know, as it comes to,
well, some could say the system is a jury system,
right? But it's not like everyone
good one.
Yeah, and even in those situations, like you know, jurors are instructed by judges that you have to do this or that. Now, of course, people might disregard that, but in general, I think most people who get selected for that kind of stuff take it seriously.
I don't know.
Yeah, but the judges in this, you know, supposed episode is like Dr. Phil, you know, and the jury is
And the
the
View.
natural audience. And the point of like the whole episode is highlighting how, you know, the mass shouldn't really jump on these bandwagons, which is a great point, but the way it's presented is in such a pandering way that it really dulls the message, and that's what makes this episode dull, in my opinion.
Did you guys think at all through this episode, like, this is so true to what happens in our own society, whether we have a court system or not? Like, you know, that doesn't, it's aside from the point, but it's almost like what gives us the right or responsibility, or we have a responsibility to be informed and make decisions and vote and things like this. But when a vote can be made, you know, as with, I can't remember the girl's name, the alien, whatever her name was, she woke up at 7:00 in the morning, gets her coffee, turns on the thing, and then doesn't even really understand what's happening in the topics, but just downvotes. Right?
Yeah, 'cause she's talking to her friend in the first scene with her, and she's like, I don't even remember what these guys did. And it's like, downvote.
and if you just go to a straight the voting that's all taking place this year in the U.S. and Canada the next is, you know, whether somebody wears a particular or costume or a shirt or whatever it might be, or says a certain thing, and then all of a sudden majority rules. I mean, I get it, but I don't know if we should have that right, honestly, anymore.
This idea of the outrage mob, I guess, that has, you know, kind of emerged in the social media era, and some people like that. They're like, good, people are getting their just desserts. These are bad people, and they were always bad people. And you know, if we expose them for the frauds they are, that's a service to humanity. And you know, I don't know. I have a lot of reservations about that kind of idea, but some people get right down giddy about it. You know, and I.
It's why we don't have direct democracy like that. We vote for policies. We vote for a system. That's why we have a system of laws. It's why we have to have a system of laws, because you can't just leave it up willy-nilly every case to the mob, to mob rule. You just can't. And it's
But the problem is, Kevin, is that as time goes on, and I think it's really evident now, is yes, you've got an elected body of people, but then the masses basically step back and just let that majority or that body of elected people do what they want to do anyway.
Yeah, but last time I think that happened, we burned Parliament down. Like there was that whole shtick where everyone was just trying to like run votes and then just like, okay.
But there is a lot of, sorry, Murphy, there's a lot of talk about cancel culture and about how you can't do this anymore, you can't do that anymore. But that's still not direct democracy. That's why we have laws. People aren't getting arrested for these things. They're not being put in jail for these things. People just don't like them. That's why those two things have to be separate. Your punishment has to be separate from public opinion always.
Right.
And that's kind of what this episode is about.
Yeah, and I guess like Seth MacFarlane in this version of it, he's taking it further. He's like, imagine a world where there's no like this is like
it's the farce extreme, right?
Right. And that's the cautionary tale I think he's trying to present here. And I think it's a pretty good use of like a new form of communication, social media, a science fiction episode around that. Like we don't really have anything else outside of this one episode in Star Trek or anywhere else, right? So I tip my hat to it in that way, even if it's not necessarily like as emotional or as grand of a spectacle as other episodes.
All right.
Also, you could even make an argument that this is a kind of a roundabout way to be against monopolies as well, because there is the feed. There's not many feeds. There's not many places people go. It's all been a siloing to this one place, and that has ruined people.
Right. My favorite line in the episode ever. Yeah. My favorite line in the episode is when the alien girl, she's explaining it to the crew, like, if everyone has a voice, then like we get a better result because, like this idea, like it's kind of like a democratic idea, right?
The majority is always true.
But Bortus's line is like a voice should be earned, not given away. I think is like the most resonant for me in this episode.
I agree.
Jody.
Yeah,
it's good.
I'll stop taking you off course.
It's fine. I think it's interesting that a show that primarily does fart jokes is going to be, giving us 19 minutes of talk about this.
It's funny too. Like that's not really how I do sex, and there's some lines from John here.
Also, I laughed when he was humping the statue. I thought it was good.
Yeah, he's like, is this too much dry humping?
What about this? Yeah, exactly. All right, well, let's move on to the screenshots here, guys. All right, we have, what's her name?
Her name is Lucilla.
Lucilla?
Lucilla.
Okay. Lucilla. We see Lucilla, which is an alien to us because we don't know who she is. She wakes up, and one of these days I'll figure out how to get this thing to move. There we go.
Go back one more. Like they still develop the same numbers as us and the same letters as us. Like her alarm clock still says 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like, a 7 for them is still a 7 for us.
This is like one of those like bottle episodes, right?
Okay. It's actually not a bottle episode at all.
No, not really, but yeah, but you know what I mean. But yeah, so she wakes up, we see her do her normal routine, and then we get introduced to the breakfast show, which is something that I guess everybody in this society watches. And they're currently talking to these two guys. Did anybody catch what these guys actually did? I think
these are the two humans. These are the ones who got like.
Are these actually humans? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
These are the ones that they were sent from Earth or whatever.
Apparently, I didn't pay attention.
Yeah, well, apparently neither did the Orville, because when they come to this planet, they don't already have the badges, and you'd think that would be a very important like top.
Yeah, I was gonna
note.
hit that when we got to that point, but yeah, it is kind of ridiculous that they have like clothes on file, but they don't know the one thing that their entire society wears.
I think that is odd. Is that like that it takes them so long to get up to speed with what's happening here.
Yeah.
That it's
Yeah, and she basically takes a phone call from her friend, and she's like, "Are you watching the breakfast show? You know, blah blah blah." And she's like, "I don't even know what these guys did." And she's like, downvote." So basically, she's a Reddit user.
She didn't like his eyes. She was like, he's got weird eyes.
Yeah, she's a Reddit user or an X user maybe. But yeah, it's like he's just got creepy eyes, man. You know, the downvote. You know, funny that happens a lot in our society even. So anyway, we have our two scientists that have been captured. They apparently did something wrong. What was it they did again? Oh yeah, it was the bus thing. The bus thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't know that yet.
We don't know that yet. Yeah, we find out later that it was because they wouldn't give up their seat on the bus or something. You know, so anyway, this one guy decides to run, and they took the extreme approach of just shooting him dead.
I feel like this cop could have chased him down, but you know,
he could have at least said, you know, stop,
or else shoot.
Or else
they may have tried
trying to
locking
hit-
the doors.
Yeah.
Well, he was clearly trying to hit his downvote button with a bullet.
Downvote. Anyway, so we see them get locking up the other guy. He's in this room. Looks like an electric chair or something like that from our history. And we're seeing the thing where he almost has 10 million votes, and he's only got 36,000 upvotes. So basically, pretty much any Disney movie trailer in the last 2 years,
Right, and
it's pretty much the same.
If 10 million people don't like you, it's now a crime against society.
Yeah,
right?
it's now a crime. Yep. So anyway, he hits the magic number, and they basically fry him. We don't actually know what happens at this point, but we find out later that they basically get lobotomized.
And we see that, later on, people with lots of downvotes can't even buy coffee in shops or whatever.
Yes, there's a scene later where some lady has them.
20s.
I got those. These are my 20s. I'm a totally different person now.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, we get our title card, majority rule. And they're basically approaching this planet, which is very similar to Earth, to the point where they're, basically comparing it to Earth. And they decide they're going to do an away mission. The away mission is to find out what's going on with these two scientists that they haven't heard from in a little while. And they go to their replicators and get all the clothes that they need, except for the badge, of course.
Now, I object to Alara's assignment on this mission, why? because she's an alien. She doesn't physically resemble this culture.
Spock did it,
but it's an unnecessary risk.
Isn't
you
she
have
more
more
security though.
She is. She's
but,
the brute.
Spock also got caught every time,
and she gets caught in this one.
True.
Yeah, it's almost as bad as sitting down an officer who's an idiot like Lamar.
Well, that's it's
some
probably
stupid kid that tramples on your bushes.
Yeah, you got to wear skinny jeans and scratch your balls or whatever.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do it through your back pocket apparently.
This is basically Seth MacFarlane getting his copy notes from TOS and just putting his spin on it.
The first season is full of, I don't want to say homages, but a lot of borrowed material.
Hey, we got Major Hayes in this episode.
That's true. Major Hayes is in this episode. Major Hayes, good old Major Hayes. For anybody who hasn't watched any of our Enterprise podcast,
Major Hayes was a good character because he beat up Malcolm.
That's true.
Yes.
He kicked the shit out of Malcolm, and that was great.
He's a hero forever for Adam.
That's right.
So anyway, they figure out there are hats that this civilization uses. She grabs one. Turns out later that that's not a good idea. It's basically like putting on a yarmulke. Same idea.
You're not Kelvik. The guy says
you're not Kelvik.
You're not. How does he know that she's not?
Well, I'm guessing from the extremely white complexion.
He was white too.
Yeah, he wasn't as white as she is though. She's
white.
really white.
You're too white to be Kelvik.
I'm definitely white. Sadly. All right, but anyway, it'd be nice if I can get a tan once in a while. Anyway, basically they're Mercer's like, you got to be careful, blah 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 blah, the usual spiel when you're going down to a planet. And he's like, do what you can, kind of thing. So they get into a shuttle because they still don't have teleporters yet. One of these days they'll get them. But anyway,
in the future, by Charlize Theron's time, they'll have them.
They'll have them in Charlize Theron's time though, so that's good. So basically, they all go down to the planet. They eventually land in this area, and
who's reading
we get
that?
this. What's that?
Why is that
Who's
up there?
reading
Who's
that?
reading
Who's
that?
that sign for? Yeah. I don't know.
That's a good question, actually. Yes. Like at street level, there's no way you're going to be able to read that. Well, you might be
Yeah.
able to read it if you're like really close, but like we're
Like, if you
essentially
do-
like what? The shot is basically from like across the street and you can't
Yeah.
read anything there.
Level 2.
That's about it. But anyway, and we get basically introduced to these badges, and these badges have a upvote and a downvote on it, and people will randomly poke your chest. That's
But they
literally
don't
what
actually.
happens.
They can also do it with their phones. It seems like
They
don't
can
have
do
to-
it with their phones, yeah, but I think that's only for like the grand votes. This is like the personal vote, you know, to show somebody that they're nice or good or they do a good thing or something.
even give your grandma one if she gives you an ice.
You know,
cream.
grandma gives you ice cream, bam, you give her one. You know, you walk into some guy and he spills his coffee, bam, downvote. That's just how that works. And you get enough of those. You run into enough people and drop their coffee, man, you're dead. Like that's all there is to it in this society. It's also a very big shame that they still have Priuses in this world. They developed them here too. I don't know why. Bad idea. Sorry guys, my phone's going off here.
That was very
Good timing, eh?
the Prius charm.
What's that?
Was that the Prius charm?
No, but it could have been. But basically, they have Priuses here, which is just a terrible idea, no matter what environment you're in. But anyway, they're doing the whole walking around the middle of the city thing. They come across this like news agent guy, and they're like,
I felt like he was supposed to be like a newsstand, but instead of a stand, they just gave him like a valet booth.
yeah. Well, maybe like
Yeah.
everything's just digital, and he just like uploads it to their device or something. I don't know.
He was some kind of a. I thought he was like newsstand guy or a
I
magazine.
thought he was the newsstand guy too, so I don't know. I'll have to rewatch.
He's
it
supposed to
again
be
to
the
check it out.
bodega guy, but he doesn't own a bodega. He just does it on the street in front of everybody.
And then when he goes home, he just grabs his like podium and walks away.
Just like takes a couple upvotes, you know.
So basically, somehow I have missed a screenshot here, but basically he said, you know, they show pictures of the two guys they're looking for, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I know who those guys are. They're you know, everywhere. Everybody knows who these guys are." And she's like, kind of like dumbfounded by that. And he's like, "And where the hell are your badges? You know, how are people going to poke you in the chest randomly? You know?" So
Yeah,
basically,
and she's like, "We're not police."
"We're not
What?
police." Like, come on,
Badges? What badges? What do you
Yeah.
mean badges?
we
We've
don't
heard
need no
nothing about these
stinking
badges.
badges.
That wasn't in the report.
Yeah, that wasn't in the report. That they clearly knew everything about what they wear and everything, but yet can't get a badge. But anyway, so he's like, "Oh yeah, I could sell you those for I think it's like 6, you know, insert local currency here.
Loctics or something like that.
Yeah, Loctics.
Lots.
Lots. Yeah, okay.
I've got so many lots. I'm making it rain lots.
This is a very creepy smile by Kelly. I'm not totally sure what happened there. But anyway, they're like, "Okay, now we got our badges, blah, 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 blah." And Lamar's like, "Hey," he starts talking about something. to do
Laura
with-
broke up with a guy, and
Oh, that's
she
right.
thought he dry humped weirdly,
yes.
or too much dry humping at least.
So he decided to just have at it with this statue of this wholesome woman. And he basically, everybody starts recording on what I can only assume are Windows phones. I don't know. I'm guessing just based on the fact that they're huge. But
Google
so anyway,
prototypes.
yeah, I guess so. But they're like almost like an oblong kind of setup here.
Like Kelly was trying to
trapezoid-ish
order him
kinda.
down. To be fair, like I
Well,
get,
yeah,
like,
she's like, "Dude, get down! Like, what are you doing?" But like in reality, I'm with Adam on this one. Like, what a knob! Like
Yeah.
you're on you're in a foreign planet essentially.
he's a
foreign
frustrated
culture.
genius. We find out later.
Yeah, okay, but he's a pain in the ass, and there's no reason why he should be doing this on the, like, yeah, if he wants to do this in like, you know, the mess hall on the Orville, that's one thing, but you know, doing it here is kind of dumb. But anyway,
He
so everybody
dry humps
records
with
it.
a 1.5 foot radius between his crotch and apparently the object he's dry humping. So I
I
guess
thought,
Well,
yeah,
he
it
was-
was.
Being respectful.
This dry humping was too respectful.
yeah, I felt like he could have really put his nuts on it.
He could have. Well, the problem is his nuts are in the back, according to his tight jeans. So you know, who knows? Maybe that's why. Maybe he was trying to get to the back. Maybe he was doing it somehow that way. But basically, everybody records them because that's what people do nowadays with their phones. So it makes perfect sense. And at this point they're like, okay, yeah, okay, fine, it was a bad idea, I did it anyway, whatever. And then they go into this coffee shop where they meet the girl. But what's more interesting is the fact that he's starting to get well, actually no, sorry, we deal with the lady first. It turns out this lady has, what is it, 5 million or something,
500,000.
500,000. So basically she's shunned by all the local businesses and all she wants is a cup of coffee
For the rest of her life, too. These downvotes apparently don't go away.
They don't seem to go
Ever.
away. Yeah. So,
She may have money, she may have clothes, but she is socially homeless.
the worst kind of homeless.
Right. Well, she's just a pariah, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, there you go. If you have anything above 500,000 downvotes, we're not serving.
It turns out she got all those downvotes because she just performed poorly in sex.
Maybe her dry humping game was bad.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Like her dry humping game was so bad, she just kept getting downvotes.
You know
and she
what?
got
Well, I think the
500,000
other
of
point that's trying to be made here too is that like this idea, like people can change, people can make mistakes, people can have redemption in this world,
Yeah.
But not online.
forgiveness.
Not
listen,
online, Dave.
Right?
I'm not villainizing her. I too was bad at sex in my early 20s.
But now you are such a pro.
I'm such a pro. Nobody has sex with me. It's great.
So good.
I've reached Zen master levels.
Yeah.
This is going in places I don't want to go.
But guys, I mean,
That's
from-
what she said.
Adam, what were you saying?
But from somebody a little older than, I mean, maybe Kevin, you remember, but before
Maybe Kevin.
I'm older than Kevin.
Are you?
No, you-
Okay.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
Yes, he is.
Yes, I am.
That's the beard, Kevin.
What?
Regardless, okay. My point is, I remember no phone.
Yep,
I remember
me too.
so like some of the things that we all did back in our early teens and early 20s. I'm glad we didn't have phones for. I mean, because you're right, Dave. I wouldn't want that out there.
Yeah, some of the stuff I did in my teenage years, I'm really glad we didn't have phones that could record things.
Like that time you went naked down Branch Street, and
Hey,
what if that?
whoa,
what if there was a video of
Wee
that?
wee
I don't know what
pee-pee.
I don't know what you've heard. Okay,
Oh, I've heard.
that's anyway. Let's move on.
Do we really want to start going through the things we've heard about each other?
Oh, that's a good point.
They say a lot
Is
of
that
things
a
about me.
game? Dave, is that a game you want to play?
You
They
want to
say
play that
it's-
game?
They've said many things, good and bad, about me. It's hard to really sort it all out.
But to the point of is that we're not the same people we were 20,
Absolutely.
25, 30 years ago, depending on who we are.
No. Well, my
Uh,
maturity is about the same, but
Well, and even in our, even with people who commit heinous crimes, like they can come back from that and live lives afterwards, right? Well, not to some people, but but I think that there is that kind of story that can happen to a person's life, and I think that needs to be. But some people never change. Some people are just scumbags forever, I guess. But trying to classify people, I guess, into green and red, I guess, is also what another way to look at this.
true. But basically, they start talking to her, and she's like, "Whoa!" As she's talking to them, Lamar's badge starts counting up all the downvotes like nuts, and she's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Hold on! You have 500,000, dislikes or whatever the hell you want to call it."
Okay, so I don't know. So the whole structure of this conversation was a little like, you don't understand how our society works. Again, this should have been in the brief notes of before you even touched down on the planet. Like, she's giving them all the exposition of how their entire society works, and that's what I find extremely.
And
dumb
you
about
had
this
two
episode.
scientists that were in communication with the union up until just recently. I'm sure at some point during the line they said, and these guys do this by downvoting and upvoting.
Like, that would have been day one reporting.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially since this has never been seen before. They say that at the beginning of the episode. They've never seen anything like this before.
Except for
Or
the
not at
two
the
guys
beginning
that
of the
were over there.
episode. They say it later.
Right,
Like,
when
yeah.
they're like going through all and making all the fake stories and whatever. But yeah, like
They've never seen an absolute democracy before.
So, which we don't have either in our society, but but clearly, like, they would have went through a like the Ed Mercer Orville version of Earth in its past would have struggled with these issues too, right? Like, but
You would assume.
that almost, it's almost like that's not the case. Like, this didn't happen in Earth's history. They mentioned American Idol, but
but if you look at, like, for instance, like Next Gen, there's references to, like, 20th century things, and they have some things wrong, right? So it's like, over time things get lost, I guess, in translation, but still, it's definitely another, ding on it's another downvote, let's say, for this episode. When it comes to that type of stuff, but yeah, she sees his bad's going completely batshit crazy. She
throws him out.
What's interesting is he has more votes than when he started for upvotes as well, because they were all the badges that were sold to them already had 200,000 upvotes on them. Right. So it's like,
some people just love a bad boy, man.
It's true. Some people like this bumping.
Serial killers get wives.
Okay,
I've always hated that statue.
So here's another problem I have. How do they know who he is? This is a clean numbered badge, right?
Well, the badge has a code, I guess.
Has a code, absolutely. But they start referring to him as Lamar.
Already?
No, they don't. Not until he goes into. Not until they arrest him.
I thought when they came to arrest him, they already knew who he was.
No, they pretty much say that's the badge code number, and
when he meets Major Hayes, he's like, "My name's John." He's like, "That's unusual."
He's like, "Do you know Malcolm? Do you know Malcolm?"
I punched him in the face.
I punched him right in the face. Everybody rejoiced. So we still have people hovering around him, and he's about to hit the 1 mil mark, which I guess when they hit 1 mil, that's when they kind of like.
That's when you get arrested, I think.
That's when they get you. Yeah, and then you start your redemption tour, I guess.
Your apology tour.
Apology tour, yeah. Hunger Games.
Much like Fame, when you reach 1 million likes, you now are a prisoner of the system.
There you go. So anyway, at this point, guns drawn on Lamar. Yeah, I thought at this point they said Lamar. So, but maybe I'm wrong. I probably am wrong. Let's be honest. But anyway, so we flash back to the Orville. And at this point, Ed's kind of like, can we go and do like an extraction kind of thing? And
Ron Canada says no.
Yeah, Ron Canada says,
"What kind of shit are you running up there?"
Yeah, what kind of bullshit you running? I know I gave you
feel like I'm the admiral here, guys. Like, I'm just like so pissed off why this would ever happen.
When he comes back, I will order him to hump less often.
Stuff.
Hump less stuff.
Hump less stuff. Yes, there you go. So then we go back to Lamar. He's in the, I guess, the police station or the judicial arraignment area, whatever you want to call it. And he's basically being explained by his, I guess this is now not a public defender, but a publicist, essentially.
He says, "Are you my lawyer?" He's like, "I don't know that word." So
I don't know lawyer. Yeah, I don't know what that
I'm
is.
like, you guys have.
How do you like this uniform, Dave?
His suit.
His suit.
Look at that double trim.
The double trim.
Why is he wearing 2 suits?
I don't know.
That is a little weird. And the tie is really fucked up too. The knot on the tie is weird.
I liked him better in the Mako uniform.
Really? I love the Mako uniforms.
Yeah.
You know what I also like about the Mako uniform? He was wearing it when he punched Malcolm in the face.
He was.
Woo-ha.
He was also only wearing one of them.
That's right.
Yes.
He was only wearing one.
Well, they're like twice the uniform, twice.
So basically, he explains to Lamar how this works. Like, you have to go on this kind of, apology tour, and as long as you don't get 10 million downvotes, you won't have to face your what did they call it? It was
correction or something. Or...
Yeah, like correction, I guess. And he's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, this is kind of weird." And he's like, "By the way, have you seen Malcolm? I want to punch him again." Anyway. And he's like, "Yeah, you should punch Malcolm."
He laughs in his face, but then it gets kind of scary, But
yeah, and he's like, "Well, then they're gonna basically hook you up to the chair and blah 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 blah.
Oh yeah, he laughs in his face because he explains their whole judicial system,
Yeah,
and he
he's
thinks
just-
it's just
it's
like
so
ridiculous.
ridiculous. Yeah.
And then they're like, well, now we're gonna fry your brain until you're a crispy little egg that says Poppy. And then he's like, okay, I'm terrified now.
Yeah. He gets terrified, and you kind of see his reaction through the eyes of the people that are with him, because they're like, what? And Kelly's talking in her earpiece thing that she has to Mercer about this. And he's like, oh, they're calling us in, kind of thing. So they go in and he explains what he just found out about this. Everybody's kind of shocked. And he's like, I don't remember what this was from, but it was funny.
Oh yeah, he's like, I'm a
Bangs on the
spaceman.
glass and goes, I'm a spaceman.
I'm a spaceman.
I'm a spaceman.
Yeah. So, he's going for the crazy card, I guess. And
No,
I
it's
guess-
just he thinks that's his get out of jail
That's
card.
his
He's like,
out-
no, I'm a
yeah.
spaceman. Take me
I'm a
out of here.
spaceman.
I'm not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
I need to be navigating charts.
So it's basically explained to him that he can have somebody with him. He chooses Kelly, which I'm not sure why you'd want Kelly with you versus, like, I would take Alara myself. That way, if you got a chance to leave, you can bust out with her. But anyway, so next we see him.
Commanding
He's
officer has the most reasoning, probably.
maybe, I don't know. Nobody seems to have reasoning on the ship half the time. But anyway, we're now on set for a show. It turns out he's going to be on a show that is basically like The View. I think it's called The Talk or something like that. And basically he's going to be a guest, and he has to try to redeem himself to the audience of the public. Basically, the chat, excuse me. It's called The Chat. And you have these three absolutely ridiculous women who very much show me exactly what The View is like, if you've ever seen that show, where people just bitch at each other most of the time, and then every so often they gang up on somebody.
Like that whole moment when he comes in and she just down votes him there, and she's like, I just needed to do that.
I just wanted to do that. Yeah. I think it
that
comes up here. in a
That
second.
felt like, one of those shows. Like there's that Canadian version too that we have, and there's
this lady is by
City
far the
TV.
most annoying of the three.
yes.
She seems to be like the main host. She's like the Joy Botter or whatever the hell her name is. But anyway, he tries to explain, it's just a joke, blah, 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 blah. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And they're like, you're not really, authentic on your response here, blah, blah, blah.
He
and then
apologizes like 6 times throughout.
he
this whole
apologizes,
thing,
and
then
she's
like,
like,
"No, we don't believe
I
you."
just don't
No.
think you're being authentic.
Yeah, this is the type of shit. It's annoying. It was a dumb, stupid. It's just a stupid scene. It's a stupid scene. It's a whole scenario is dumb as hell.
Kevin, what did you think of this scenario?
Thought it was fine. I don't know why it's making you so upset.
Yeah,
It's
why
just-
is
it's
it
just-
why is it dumb, Murphy? Like I'm not following.
It's dumb because it's just like it's pandering. It's just pandering in like to a degree where it's like they're being so belligerent about it, but it's just like because he danced on a statue, like they couldn't. It's
that you think that their lack of reasonability with it is sort of the far-fetched aspect here, like that
I guess so. It's just
regular
it's just
people
it
wouldn't do
plays
this?
so long. It's
No,
like
I can I just interrupt you, because I think that this is exactly the way it is. They've decided your fate before you even come on the show, and
Right.
for some reason what they think matters, and that's what's going to happen. Because if she said, "Hey, you're cute, I want to upvote you," what would happen? I believe that she could sway
Well,
that.
But there's also the fear that they'll get downvoted if they show any kind of
Sure.
Well, and that's where the fault is in the system, right? Because you can't be truthful, because you have to go with whatever the crowd says, or you're going to end up being in the same position.
But it also speaks to the fact that people with no credibility or they have credibility, no knowledge or expertise are deciding things for people.
Well, we saw that at the very beginning, right? When we saw the girl
Yes.
talking to her, it was like, I don't even know what he did, but I'm going to downvote him.
I don't like his eyes, so
I don't like his
downvote,
eyes,
right?
downvote. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I think our society, even to today, is a lot like that. There's a lot of
Oh, it's
people that
horrible. I mean, when you have
preconceive judgment
Like,
on people automatically.
I mean,
Yeah,
when you
it's
think
pretty
of how
easy.
many news outlets in Canada are owned by Bell Media, like it's
Yeah.
somebody's deciding what we watch and see and how we think.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
I don't think
and-
there's nothing, no such thing as a unbiased news network nowadays. I just don't think
yeah,
that
no,
exists.
it's all that, it. Shit, I lost my train of thought. Never mind.
It's okay. You're probably just angry about something.
I also just say that this is maybe my other little favorite part of the episode where Gordon says this is like American Idol, in the justice system.
Yeah, and he
Bortus is
explains it to Bortus. What's American Idol?
They used to have a competition to find out who the best singer was. He goes, "Why?" And he goes,
Why?
"I don't know."
I don't know.
That's my favorite part. Where he goes, "I don't know." Like, why? Did
No, my favorite part is right after that, where he just goes, "I sing," and then
I
they just
sing.
cut.
I sing,
Like,
and everybody just that's what this reaction is here. Well, we see him sing later on in the series, so
I can't
Well,
remember what
he
he
goes
goes.
to
Doesn't
sing.
he sing Elvis later on?
no,
Or
it's
something?
Celine Dion from Titanic.
Oh yeah.
He was about to sing that, and then he gets interrupted. Yeah. But when they have their karaoke night. But anyway, Lamar is still trying to explain his way, and now the other people on the panel are jabbing into him too. Oh, you don't sound sincere, blah blah blah. And at this point, he's like, you know what? I left the Makos for this, and she's like, I could have been on other shows.
I was on Supernatural until they burned me on the ceiling.
Yeah, they burned me on the ceiling, and then that was the end of it.
Well, that's how she knows the alien girl. That's Claire,
That's right.
also from Supernatural.
Yeah, familiar.
And later on, she's the daughter in the Ted TV show.
Oh, which I've never seen.
Pretty much everybody from the Ted TV show has been on the Orville.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like it's a whole group of people.
I didn't like that Ted movie, but that's.
Even
I'm
the
not even much
As
of a
long
Seth
as you don't
MacFarlane
go-
fan.
As
Outside
long
of
as you
this.
don't go too deep into it and just watch it because it can be funny. It's funny.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say it's a deep
That
movie
that
by
could
any
be said
stretch.
for all of Seth MacFarlane's content.
Yeah.
Well, except for this, maybe.
So basically, they're still watching the show. They're seeing how Lamar's getting tons of downvotes here. And it just keeps going up and up and up.
Because they say, tell us something that whoever the statue's based on, like, tell us something she did, and he didn't know anything about her. And he's like, well, she was the best. And, like,
she
he
was
just
the best.
followed-
That the thing
Did
she
lots
did.
of good things.
She did
Yeah,
so
she
many
did
good
lots of-
things.
yeah. So, but anyway, it's they here they are voting with their extremely weird phone device things. So basically, Claire and what's her name?
Alara.
Alara. I'm terrible with names. The two of them decide they're going to go back and talk to this lady because maybe this lady can help them out somehow.
Lucilla.
Priscilla.
Lucilla.
There you go. So basically, they go to Lucilla. They're like, blah, blah, blah. And then as this whole conversation's happening, this jackass shows up and he's like, you can't wear that hat.
Yeah, take it off right now.
Take it
you
off
know?
right now. And she's like, I can't.
Yeah.
blah,
I'm an
blah,
alien
blah.
under here.
Yeah. And
Uh.
basically, he gets all up in her face and then he downvotes her. And then, everybody starts pulling out their phones because, it's like, an angry lady at Starbucks. That kind of thing. Everybody's like, oh, I got to get this on video so I can put it on my feed and get some fake clout.
Post it to public freakout.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so Lara's like, yeah, I can't do this. Like, I can't take this off right now. And then Claire's like, I'm going to take her home and we'll make sure she takes it off. So they go to the bathroom and Claire pulls a Spock basically and just, rips off a piece of the shirt and, wraps it up around her ears kind of thing. But before she gets a chance to do that, Lucilla, one of these days. Anyway,
Just call her Claire. It's easy to remember.
I know Claire. That's Claire there. But anyway,
Or are you talking to Laura?
no, I was talking about the other girl.
Okay.
But anyway, she walks in on these two and she sees Alara, and Alara obviously does not look like a human as much. And at this point, they're like, she tries to bolt off. They like grab her and bring her back in. And then they're like, oh, let's go get a drink. So then this lady sits down with these two. And basically she's explaining, Alara's explaining, oh, we're from a different area and blah, blah, blah. And all
We're
this.
from different planets, not areas.
Well,
Planets.
We're from different regions, really. You know.
We're from just down
different.
the street.
Yeah,
You
We
know.
came here with a spaceman.
Yeah, with a spaceman. You guys have
Dry
him.
humps.
Who likes to dry hump statues. It's just
So,
a thing he does.
Guys, does the union have like a prime directive?
Yes.
Then why do we
They do.
So they do. Okay, so we have already established that in this series,
Yes, and that's why they're not rescuing him.
Yeah.
right?
I don't know
However,
if
they
it's
can
a
interfere.
directive. I don't know if
It's
it's
not
like
really a
their
directive, it's
prime,
more of a-
prime directive. They say it's their non-interference policy.
Yeah,
It
they call it
sounds
something
like
else, but
it sounds
not
like
like you
you
can
can
break it if
break
you
it.
have
It's not such a big deal.
Yeah.
Oh,
You can break
they
it if
break
you
it
have
all the time.
Yeah. Oh,
well,
constantly.
I think Ed even makes that pitch to Ron Canada. He's like, well, maybe if we expose ourselves, that could be a good thing. He's like, and it could also go completely bad, and they could go into civil war and whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Which the outcome of this show actually does show something later on in the series. So they did affect this population. But basically, she shows her. This is the reason why these two guys were downvoted so much, was because they're sitting on a bus and there's a pregnant lady beside them that they didn't release her seat. Now, I want to know, did they downvote everybody else that was on the bus too? Like, there's a lot of seats on this bus, including the empty seat that's right beside her. Did you notice
there's an
that?
empty seat in front of them?
Yeah.
There's an empty seat in front. There's also one right here.
yeah,
This one right here. That's a totally empty seat, and she doesn't even have to walk far.
that was probably a deliberate choice by the directors. Yeah,
Is it an empty seat, or is it just that lady's leaning forward in the seat that she's in?
Good
I think
point. That could
regardless,
be.
it's supposed to say how ridiculous this is.
Yeah, it could be. You know what? I think you're right, Murphy. I think she is just leaning forward.
And this
Yeah,
this is again, this is my problem with this episode. They hammer on these ridiculous points to a degree where it's like it's so apparent, and yes, it emphasizes the stupidity of the society, but they could have maybe, I don't know, shown something a little more like, what happens if somebody gets caught stealing or does a crime of shooting? Like, what
Yeah,
happened
something
to
more
the security
egregious,
guard
right?
that killed the dude? Does he get a bunch of downvotes or upvotes because he killed somebody? Like, there's
And what happens if he's like a murderer, like Wesley Snipes in Demolition Man, where people were like enjoying his murder spree?
yeah.
Like, what happens then?
Yeah, this whole thing feels very Demolition Man like society, and where they're that smart,
Kinda,
you
yeah,
know.
Yeah.
You know, like, where's
Do you
the
know how to use the 3
clamshells?
seashells?
Yeah.
I still haven't figured that one out.
Well,
But
you scoop one, and then you scoop the other, and then you clean the one. That's
You clean the poopy ones with the other one. I don't know what those.
yeah.
sounds too complicated. I'll just stick with killing trees. Anyway, they decide they're going to go see the apartment. Now, these guys have been on this planet long enough to acquire enough currency to essentially get an apartment. And ironically, they have pretty much the same couch I do. But anyway, she's going
IKEA.
through like their
Intergalactic shipping.
ours was from Ashley Furniture, but same idea. But anyway, no relation to Kevin. But anyway, they're going through like some of the stuff, and it turns out lobotomized man is there. He's just really quiet.
Who was like Claire's old friend, right? And all that.
Yeah, Claire's old friend,
Lewis.
Lewis.
It is Lewis, yes. Basically, he's like, everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah.
And she can't repair his brain damage.
Yeah, she's scanned him and figured out that he's basically been lobotomized. So anyway, we go back to, this is now a different set. This is another TV show he's going on. It's more like a late night show, I guess. And basically the Hayes there basically tells him, go out, be positive, embrace the audience and stuff like that. So Lamar goes out. He gets introduced. He goes out and he starts like smacking everybody's legs as he's going through, like, doing the hey, that kind of thing. And that they even like make a point of it right after. He's like, what makes you think you could just come out here and slap all my audience members? And
Well, no, he's like, you're in trouble for dancing on a statue, and you think it's appropriate to come out here and dance and strike the audience?
yeah, and strike the audience. Yes, that's right. That's what he says. So anyway, and Lamar just kind of gives him this like weird look, like, what? So anyway, we go back to the sick bay. She's basically scanning him some more. She's like, "Yeah, he's totally lobotomized. Like, there's nothing I can do to fix this." And Mercer's like, "Wow, that kind of sucks. All right, well, let's watch the late night show." And so anyway, he's like, "Okay, everybody vote." So they all vote, and it doesn't go that well for Lamar, unfortunately. Turns out, yeah, they don't like him. So
Yeah, this apology tour is not going his way.
it's not going well. It's not going well. He's at like 6 million downvotes right now, or something like that. So anyway, Alara and Claire decide they're gonna take the girl.
You got it.
Was it whose idea was it? Was it Claire's or Ed's?
I think it was Ed's, because
It was
Ed
Ed's,
goes
Yeah.
goes like, "Well, we're not allowed to go down there."
We need
But-
an inside
but-
man.
Ron Canada didn't say we couldn't bring somebody
Yeah,
here.
could bring somebody here, which seems like that would be implied. Like,
Yeah.
if you can't interfere with them, you shouldn't be bringing them to you.
I think Ron
But
Canada
anyway,
would agree
he
with
does
that.
it anyway. And she gets a look at the Orville. She's like absolutely dumbfounded by it,
Of course she is.
which would make sense. And then she pulls out her phone to take pictures of it, which apparently I didn't capture. But and Alara just takes the phone away from her. She's like, "No, you can't do that." But I liked that reaction, because
But
that's
nobody will
literally what would
believe
happen.
me if I don't have photos. That's
Exactly.
the idea.
Yeah, that's the
Yes.
idea. Yeah. So anyway, she gets taken to the ship. They dock, and then they're having a meeting. And she's now introduced to, obviously, some of the other people on the staff, such as these two. One being an artificial life form, the other one being Bortus.
Yeah,
which
he
is,
says who he is, and then I think Ed said something like,
Lachlan.
"Can we have like nuts and snacks here on the table?"
Yeah,
when
he's like,
people
"Come on."
over."
And he's
I'm
like,
going to be
"I will
looking
not
out for
fail
that
you.
in future
Yeah,
episodes.
I will not fail you, Captain.
I will not fail you, Captain."
In a very Worf moment there. I will
Yeah,
not fair it.
very
Well,
Worf.
he's supposed to be a parody of Worf, basically.
Yeah.
so
I'm going to be
I think
looking
that
out for
makes sense.
pretzels and water on the table in future episodes.
I bet
Yeah.
you they're there. But I'm not sure actually. But that'd be neat to look. So anyway, they basically, explain like, this isn't how we do things. What's going to happen? And she's like, "Oh, they're basically gonna. He's gonna pretty much suck after this
Turn
is
him
done."
into a vegetable.
Yeah. So anyway, he's now being taken to the same area that we saw the two at the beginning of the episode go to, and he's currently at 9,345,000 some odd votes downvoted. So he's pretty close to losing this race. And at this point, they're Kelly says something, or she reacts some way, and then the cop is like puts a gun to her, and like she's not even on trial here, but obviously
They
very-
take their lobotomized.
they take their lobotomy machine very seriously. It seems to be a big thing. And then these guys get the idea of, oh, well, Isaac's like, well, I can interrupt their feed and put in, artificial information to get our point across, and blah, 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 which sounds awfully familiar.
which
as well.
does feel like a form of interference, but
Didn't you think it would be easy for him just to dial in and then manipulate the votes?
Well, that would make more
Yeah.
sense, right? Just bring the votes down. You don't even need to put anything in there. But if
They-
you can
they-
interrupt the feed, I'm sure you can interrupt the
They
numbers.
they could have hacked the numbers too, but this was funnier to do it this way. I think that was why they go this way.
True.
Yeah.
I didn't actually notice. Some of these are really weird. I just heard that John Lamar just got back from service. Look at him reuniting with his dog.
So, but that's before they've done that part, right?
Which is a little weird. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the dog! Don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
John
but
Lamar
supports-
supports
Say he
that.
supports his
grandmother.
90-year-old grandmother, but say exactly like that.
And then make him that he is a fat kid. So they take a picture of him and then they fatten him up.
yeah, people will like
He's
him
not
now.
fat enough. Make him fatter.
Yeah, make him
I was
fat.
like, is this? I thought it was surprising, but when I first saw it, I guess.
Yeah. So basically, we're seeing the reaction. He's like, Bortus says something. I can't remember what Bortus says.
Yeah,
Oh no, he
so-
says the service one, right?
No, he's like say
fought
that
a
he's
great-
a great victor and that he slayed many enemies.
Yeah, and then somebody says,
he's like, yeah,
"And
put
he
that into
reunited
the
with his
feed.
dog."
Again with like very Worf like.
Now, what's
Tom Brady.
interesting is, and I know Davin will be very upset about this, but it appears that the Orville is using AI to make a video.
He'll be okay with the Orville using AI because it's Seth MacFarlane. You can't get worse anyway.
Davin now, yeah.
We just had a viewer drop. I think Davin left.
It could have been Davin. Anyway, so well, a couple of our regulars last week said they weren't going to be around, so this week. So unfortunately, we'll miss them this week. But anyway, we got a video of obviously a staged video of him playing with his dog after being reunited, coming back from war or whatever it was. So anyway, the votes are going, blah blah blah. He's getting a lot of upvotes now, though. You know, he's raising the ranks on the upvotes, but the downvotes are still coming in pretty strong. And it stops at 96. So he's 4 votes away from being lobotomized. And then they let him out. And then he's like, you can all suck it or something.
You can all suck ass or something.
Yeah, you can all suck ass, and I'm a spaceman. And then he walks away.
I'm waiting for somebody, one of the guards, just like, would have been great if one of them had just like hit downvote.
Yeah, they just downvoted. All the guys in the room just downvote. And now he's at like 10,000.
Yeah.
He's got that smug look on his face. She's happy that he helped. You know, Mercer's like, thanks for helping, blah, blah, blah. And anyway, then it goes to black, and then it wakes up like nothing ever happened. She wakes up, does her same routine again. And there's a different person on there, and she goes to vote, downvote automatically, but she stops.
And she's been
She
changed.
stops herself, and she's been
It
changed.
starts with one, Jody. Just
Starts with one. But what's interesting is this is foreshadowing another episode that happens later on in the series, which will eventually hit. And it has to do with this exact planet. So there you go. But anyway, that's it, gentlemen. That's all she wrote for that.
Saying, Davin says you have an earthy pedia aroma with a hint of lilac.
I don't like lilac, so I doubt it would be me. But it could be Candace.
So I'm going to take a phrase from one of our sister podcasts, the Hey, Did You See This One podcast. They always have a little program at the end of each episode called The Home Alone of It All. And I think the Home Alone of it all, which is basically like, what's the point of the movie and the point of the episode? And the Home Alone of it all for this episode is don't vote.
I'm not sure that's what they're trying to say here, but
No,
I think that's exactly what they're trying to say here.
no, I
The
think they're
last
trying to
thing
show
they
you
did-
that if you blindly follow the crowd, bad things will happen.
you can get it wrong. I think is at the very least.
Yeah, you can get
know?
it wrong. I think is probably the closest.
I think also the fact that anybody could do something silly like sitting on the bus and not paying attention to a pregnant lady behind you, and you're screwed.
Right. Well, I think Murphy's got a point that like showing something a little bit more egregious and like heinous of a crime, maybe
Yes.
to a native of the planet, and maybe seeing how we would feel about that. But in this and the way it's presented in this episode, both of these are kind of like harmless misunderstandings, basically. That
here's the perfect way they could have really like quantified how the society works. They had somebody like do a violent crime, and he only needed to get like 1,000 downvotes for him to be lobotomized. And if you do a less egregious crime, like whatever, it's up to 10 million votes or something like that. Maybe that could have added some sort
that would
of
have been more interesting, I think. Yeah.
dynamic scale to this, and it
But it
just
seems like no matter what you do, it's 10 million downvotes and you're screwed, basically.
yeah.
and that's kind of like a weird, I guess, rule to live by, or however they live by. It's like, why doesn't the majority that, like, clearly there were still 9 million people that downvoted and only like 3 million upvoted? Why didn't the majority vote like rule? Why does it have to be specifically 10 million? Like, there's these like little things that these little caveats that are just explained, and you just kind of shrugged away, and it's replaced with dumb Seth MacFarlane jokes for the most part, and it's just I don't know. The pandering in this episode didn't appeal to me, and they took what could be a solid idea but presented it in such a childish, uninteresting, dry Americana manner, when realistically we're all watching these sci-fi space shows to get away from the dry Americana that we see in our everyday life, in our news feeds and stuff like that. And it's just like, here's a whole episode to remind you how stupid and shitty fucking modern society is, and That's not what I'm about. That's not what I want in my sci-fi shows. I don't want to sit
Sci-fi
here and be
always has
reminded.
something to say about the society we live in. Are you fucking
yeah.
kidding me?
No, but that's fair, but they do it in like entertaining ways and not just like here's a carbon copy of Earth, you know,
Is this too close to home? Is that
Sure.
what this
It's not.
is?
It's not that it's too close to home. It's just uninspired, I think. And
Yeah, it's not artful enough for you. Like it hits too on the nose, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it's I don't know. It just didn't seem like it seems like a filler episode, and they didn't really want to go too ham on special effects, so they brought it to 2016 parallel Earth B C D, you know, whatever, and like.
Let me ask you this. I think most of us here have seen Black Mirror, and there's that episode Nosedive with Bryce Dallas Howard, which has a very similar kind
Very
of
similar, yeah.
theme to that. Like, how would you compare this episode to that episode? You know,
They're the same episode. Yeah. In fact, it's one of the fun facts. You know, with your social rating determines your societal value. In both, certain establishments will refuse service if you have a low enough rating. However, the script for Majority Rule was submitted before Nosedive aired, so accusations of plagiarism were meaningless. Similar plots are found in fiction all the way back to ancient Greece.
Yeah, for sure.
And
on that note,
wait, isn't there's another one too? What's the one with Black Mirror with Joan in the title? I can't remember.
Joan? I don't remember one with Joan in it.
I haven't seen it, but I can imagine that the Black Mirror episode managed to get the message across in a far more convincing and biting manner that would like be more impactful in one's mind, as opposed to this episode where it's like it wasn't really that impactful. It was just like,
yeah.
Really, this is the adventure of the week we're going with. This is
what
we're going to do.
There's another one called Joan is Awful, and where Joan finds the events of her day are being retold in near real time in a television program. Joan is Awful. The streaming service Streamberry is legally able to do so because she signed the terms and conditions on her, you know, like blah blah blah. So she signed up
an extra on a show or something, right?
Yeah,
and
it's kind of like they're making like AI art with her likeness, basically.
Yeah.
And, you know,
we're getting into a real downer here, guys. I think it's time.
You know what though? Okay, yeah, let's do that first.
It's time for fun with Adam.
Yeah. Okay. There's all right. So we talked about that one. So the exterior shots of this took place on the grounds of the Los Angeles Center Studios. I was watching this with my wife. She said, "Is this Toronto?" And I said, "No, but
no way."
Yeah,
it's totally Los Angeles.
Thank God we would have had to hear Murphy talk about it for an hour.
You're like, I walk down the street every day.
I walk down the street, guys. I've seen this before.
Just because Kirk had a better adventure through Toronto than these guys did through mock LA, I can't help myself.
This episode aired on Seth MacFarlane's 44th birthday.
Don't know why that matters, but okay.
It's a fun fact, Jody. John Lamar comments to the group, maybe there's a Bustin' Jeeber walking around somewhere. I don't know if you caught that.
Bustin' Jeeber, yeah.
Obviously, we're referring to Justin Bieber. Yep. There's an episode called Command Performance. Gordon admonished Alara initially for not defying Admiral Tucker's orders to go and rescue Ed and Kelly, saying that we already saw that episode a few weeks ago, right?
We did.
Yep. Saying that where the situation reversed, Ed would have gone after her. But here, Ed is ordered by Admiral Tucker not to extract John, and he obeys. So maybe John's
maybe they learned their lesson.
Yeah,
racist.
That one just came out of left field. All right.
This episode was inspired by a book by John Ronson called "So You've Been Publicly Shamed." So 4 days after this episode aired, Fox announced that the Orville would be renewed for a second season. So I guess some people really liked it.
I was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
So in fact, John did not actually get downvoted 9,999,000 times because early in the episode, it can be seen that the badge already had 116,000 downvotes when he bought it.
Oh,
okay. I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
I thought he just had upvotes. That was it.
So as we've clearly identified, this episode explores concept relating to social credit systems, the tyranny of the majority, mob rule democracy, the court of public opinion, and how damaging social media can be to one's personal life. This episode also has many similarities with Justice, 1987, as the Enterprise Orville crew unknowingly break a law on an alien planet, and the Federation Union forbids the captain to jailbreak the man. The captain then abducts the native of the planet to gain information of the law system and to form a plan how to get the man acquitted.
Exactly.
But
there can be no justice so long as laws are absolute.
But the difference here, though, is that at least they get to vote here. Don't you just automatically get death there?
Yeah, it wasn't even like, couldn't even be debated.
It was just like the guys show up with the needle and they're like, okay, it's your time now. You trampled on the flower bed. It's your time.
It'll be easier this way. The child will feel no pain.
Now look, you've frightened him.
Jean-Luc, you can't let them take my son. Oh man. Okay, that's all for tonight, Jody. Let's get on with the ratings.
I got one more. I got one more fact.
Fun facts with Dave now.
I knew Dave would actually.
Details discovered by Dave.
I just for Kevin, because you know how he didn't like those double lapels, and I had to find out what was the deal with that. So that came from the costume designer Joseph Porro. He says, if you look at the ties and the shirts and the jackets, I doubled everything. Double lapels on ties. We had a lady work us to tie knots that were not typicals. And we did a lot just to make it a little off. I would buy 2 suit jackets and then rip the lapel off and make it a double one or on it just to make it strange.
It wasn't
Sounds
strange.
Like he did
it
a
was
mushroom
stupid.
trip and got caught in like a twins sort of loop and brought it back with him.
It wasn't strange.
2 of everything. I'm a genius.
All right. Well, thank you, Adam and Dave.
Yeah. With that note, we'll go to the ratings. So let's
ratings.
Jump in here. Jody, you're up.
This is the worst episode by far. Already. I'm gonna give this a I'm gonna give this a 4.5.
Jesus Christ. All right.
Yeah,
Adam.
I don't ever do this, but I'm giving this one a 0.
Oh my god.
I really
don't think
didn't.
that's ever that's
What is the matter with you? Like
it's Dave, I found this episode.
You said like 6 or 7 nice things about this episode in this podcast alone.
And you're giving it a 0?
Wait a second. What can I say nice about it? Because I can't think of anything right now.
You were like, well, this was kind of interesting how this was presented, or like,
no, I didn't. I still didn't like it.
No, I don't remember Adam saying anything like that.
No, he was pretty silent throughout the whole thing.
I still didn't like this episode. In fact, Chris just made great points. It was not what I'm looking for out of a science fiction show.
I'm giving it. I have to give it a 10.
A 10.
What are you? Crazy. Wow. Wow.
You're insane. Davin's right. Your score system is broken.
No.
Wow, too extreme.
I see the light, Davin. I see the light.
Yeah, maybe Davin is onto something.
Oh god.
I was actually gonna give it a 9, but I'm going to.
But
10.
you just had to do that, did you?
Yeah.
I think this is about the same as last week. I'll give it a 6.5.
Kevin was better on it than I was. Wow.
I was gonna give it a 4, but now I'm with Adam. I'm giving it a 0.
Wow.
All right.
Priya gets a 4 and Krill
I feel
gets
like
a 9.
Kevin and I are the only ones that actually know how to use this voting system.
Krill gets a 9.
I don't think I've ever voted a 0 before, but this is a 0.
You've done it
I have
before.
many times.
You did it on you did it for the read on the Romulan minefield, and it happens.
This is no minefield, guys. Let's be honest.
We're averaging a 4.2, but we got some extremes in there, I will say.
I wonder who did that.
Yeah, I'd say if you average just Jody and Kevin, who are a little bit
about
more,
a 5.5.
Yeah, something like that. So take that for what it is. This has an 8.2 rating on IMDb. It is one of the higher rated episodes, right up there if the stars should appear. So you're wrong. And
I'm sure
that's
Reddit
that.
influenced the votes.
I'm sure they did. They got all the
somebody
downloads.
influenced you guys. I can tell you that.
Right. Well, is there an episode after this that will not be such filler for Murphy?
There is,
I
but
don't know.
unfortunately, I accidentally closed the window. So hold on 1 second.
What do
I'm
we?
just
What
that
Involves the
weird.
krill, I'm in. If it involves like the robots, I'm in.
The next one is not the krill.
Well,
The next episode is Into the Fold.
I'm so glad you have that, Dave, because I didn't.
The crew set out to save Dr. Finn and her 2 sons and Isaac after the
Oh,
shuttle gets
God,
thrown.
this-
Oh, this is a terrible episode. Okay, never mind.
Directed by Brannon Braga.
Yeah, it's not. It's very Brandon Braga. I'll give you that
Yeah.
one, and not in a
So-
good way.
I don't. That will be the episode I say is more
But
filler.
Your
But I
did-
heroes
you know
may
what?
be premature, gentlemen.
yeah.
You know what though? What
What
are
are
these ratings?
What are these rates?
You know
Well,
what?
we have.
I don't agree with Davin very much, but I agree with him on that one. So
Who
there's
do you
something
agree
going on.
with? Yourself?
Well, I always agree with myself. I am the best narcissist.
Because
By the
technically,
way,
no one.
by the way, I did use the term narcissist wrong for you, Kevin. I meant to say cynical.
I
So-
assumed it was wrong because
yeah,
it was
yeah.
very
You're not a
insulting.
narcissist. I'm a
I was
narcissist
a little
compared to you.
surprised by the label as well. quite
Yeah,
frankly.
yeah. No,
Alright.
I misspoke on that one. See, this is what happens when I don't use a script and I just fly by the seat of my pants. And...
So if you had said cynic, everybody would have said, yeah.
Absolutely, everybody would be like, "Oh yeah, totally, Kevin. Yeah, cynic."
But I'm sitting here like I didn't know Kevin was such a narcissist, but maybe
No,
he
he's
is.
not. No, I'm the narcissist if anybody is. So,
Oh God.
because I am clearly the only one that's right on this podcast. Anyway, you know what though, Dave? Just because this one wasn't a banger for everybody doesn't mean the next Star Trek: The Next Generation one isn't going to
Right,
be a
that's right.
banger.
Tomorrow night we are continuing, of course, with Star Trek: The Next Generation rewatch. We are now going into season 1, episode 8, I believe. It's called "The Battle," and I believe you'll be on, Jody, with me
I believe I am.
and Murphy, and it sounds like Heather is coming.
Heather,
into the,
yes.
Heather
onto the panel.
Narduzzi.
Heather Narduzzi. I don't know if you were planning to come, Adam, but Heather took your spot. So,
Yeah. I went away for a couple hours and she's in. So that's good. Good for Heather.
yeah, right. Well, but that's how it goes, you know.
Well, you can
So-
come too.
No, it's
Yeah.
okay.
We did 5 here, but I try to keep it to 4 screens. On
4
that
is usually
podcast.
better, but
We're fine. We'll come
But-
whenever I'm back. I'm back.
Listen, we're the
you
original
know what,
five
Adam?
guys.
You'll be with me in spirit anyway.
Yeah.
I'll give you my
The-
rating.
The battle. That's where we get to see the Stargazer. We get to see that more Ferengi stuff. So look for that.
I can't
tomorrow
wait to
night.
make Heather go ballistic. It'll be great.
Yes, it should be an
I'm
interesting
really good
panel.
at pushing her buttons.
And then on Thursday we'll be talking about
When's
Star
your
Trek
Debate 9 episode happening?
Prodigy some more. We've covered half of season 2 now. In the first 10 episodes, we'll be doing
You're doing 5
episodes-
again, right? Like
We're doing the next 5, so it'll be episodes 11 through 15, I suppose. Will be this Thursday, and
I'll be there for that one. I really will. Honestly, I swear. I
Murphy
was
always
supposed
says
to
he's
be.
coming.
Listen, I was
before.
stuck in a stasis time loop, and here's the here's the spiel, here's the spiel, here's what's going on. I was asleep. All right, my bad. I woke up when the episode was over. My
It
bad.
was so
no problem.
important that
I'll
he
be
was
there
asleep.
for the next episode, 100%, but I won't be there for the final 5 because I'll actually be a guest on Hey Did You See This One at that time. So,
Okay.
but I'll be there for the next episode to give all my lovely and endearing thoughts about Prodigy in one lump sum that doesn't spoil anything.
This
for the
doesn't spoil
remainder.
the finale, but you know, Davin keeps trying to say on that podcast that you're dead to us, but we'll see if you come back from the dead.
I will resurrect from the dead, much like a character in that show. So
Looks like a
I don't know. I'm not there yet. So, all right. Well, anyway, I think those are all the upcoming shows in the live long, at least for this week.
There's probably some other ones, but what does it matter? They don't have us on it, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how
sure.
I think. But Murphy probably has something going on. Do you want to plug anything, Murphy?
Well, we were supposed to do Hold Up with Andre Mayette covering Big Monsters. We're doing that on the 29th of July. That's got pushed. And we're also on the July 28th we're doing a Star Trek Trivial Debates. We've got the big host, Dave Mater. He's going to be hosting the episode with contestants Ashley Millard, Trek Trav from Australia, and Sean Farrick from Trek Culture. He's going to be stopping in. So it's going to be Trivial
So
Debates.
Davin's not on on a contestant?
No, Davin's not a contestant. Puxley was going to be a contestant, but Puxley couldn't make the time. And he was the odd man out as far as everybody making time. So Ashley Millard's stepping in Puxley's place.
Oh, I see. Because Davin asked me a clarification on the question, and I was just like, oh, I didn't realize you were.
Well, I had to communicate to Puxley through Davin.
Because Puxley is from another century or something.
Yeah, he's from like he only communicates by like.
He comes from a community that does nothing but upvote and downvote.
Birds and pigeons.
It's all prayer.
Davin's got to get those letters in the mail right away.
Yeah, he's gonna send a messenger pigeon.
He sends it by Raven.
All right, gentlemen. Well, unless anybody else has anything else to say, I think it's time probably to get the intro going, or the extra, I guess.
I'll upvote that, Jody.
Will you upvote that? Oh, good. Yeah. I was worried. Of course, now I can't find it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Anyway, all right. From everybody, live long and podcast.
Bye.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on Trivial Debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.